I thought, it's just breathing. Like, what is that going to do?
Yeah.
What is that going to do for you? When I did that first breathwork session, if you want to talk about looking possessed, I can only imagine what I look like.
Wow.
I was screaming,
Mhm.
crying. I mean, the grief and just like pain that
Yeah.
was coming out of my body was so intense.
Are you trying to get your shift together?
Welcome to the Shift Sisters podcast, where real conversations inspire real transformations. We're not experts, but we're experiencers. I'm Sandra Sa.
And I'm Jennifer Richter.
We're your Shift Sisters.
Whether you're shifting like a sloth or it looks like you're having an exorcism, this is your space to breathe, reflect, and remember. We're here to talk shift with you. Welcome back, Shifties, to another episode of the Shift Sisters podcast. We are so excited, though, today because we're actually talking about something that can change your nervous system in under a minute, and
Mm.
that's your breath. And if you guys have been following along with us for quite some time, you know that we're kind of a shit show when we tried to start this breath work because we were like, we know breath is important. We realize we're holding our breath a little too much when we're stressed out. And so in the beginning of our episodes, we would try to do a little breath work. And oh, Lord, we didn't know what we were doing.
Girl, we were trying, okay?
We were trying, and that's what
We
matters.
we were trying to give it to the people, and I get it, right? But it just didn't land because that is not our specialty. But
So
I'm excited to hear about
Right,
today.
right. It's definitely not our specialty, and it's important to know where you need support and find the right person. And
Mhm.
so we have a special shift whisperer today. And I'm telling you, her whole life and work was like built for this show because she blends like science and nature and healing and breathing, intentional living all in one. It gives me chills when I think about Tawna, which is who we have today.
Hello.
Welcome,
Thank you
welcome.
so much for being here.
Woo!
This is going to be an exciting episode because Tawna, I call her, um, whoops, guess I should get a microphone over here. Um, I call Tawna this superhero Firefly because fireflies are rare. You don't see them everywhere. You have to have a special environment to attract them,
Mhm.
but they're so powerful and magical, and it's just a special moment to be in their presence. She is that, but a superhero at the same time that's like buzzing around and just literally changing the world. And I hope that you guys get to experience that from her today.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Well, this is the first time that Sandra is getting to have the Tawna experience. And I know that I have kind of withheld all of the exciting experience that I had at Tawna's property retreat because I really desperately wanted to talk about it on the podcast. So I was like, no, I can't tell you. I have to wait. But Tawna is a wellness focused farmer. She's an educator and a retreat host. Her and her husband are founders and owners of Gratitude Garden Farm in South Florida. And together, they inspire others how to explore plants as medicine and holistic health practices. So, today, she is going to help provide all of us with some tools and resources that we can use to gain this personal insight and support our nervous system through the shifts to get to the next best version of ourselves.
So, Tana, I am so excited to get the Firefly superhero experience. I am ready to receive and ready to regulate this dysregulated nervous system. So, I'm so glad that you're here today. We like to do is just a vibe check. So, how are you feeling? Is it a color? Is it food? Is it the weather report? Like, what are you feeling? For me, I'm feeling the sparks today. Like, I'm just really excited to be on this call and to hear all the things and all the wisdoms that we're going to share today. I'm open and ready to learn because I'm just I love learning new things, new techniques, new things that I can add to my rituals at home. So super, super sparked and excited to go. So I'm charged today. How about you, Tana? What is your vibe check for today?
Oh my goodness. I'm feeling great. I just woke up feeling so good. I didn't have any sweats last night, which was amazing. I was a little cold, which was weird. Um, and yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous day. I went outside and it was, fed my pigs and like was taking care of all the animals and it was just so beautiful, and I'm just feeling alive and love, I'm just feeling a lot of love right now. So I'm
Amazing.
excited.
This is good energy. I really, really love it. It's palpable. I feel it all. And our third ritual to kind of get the party started is our scents that shift us. So we often times pair up a scent or essential oil with our topic. Maybe there's certain um, themes that come up with the oil and the topic. And Jen leads that. So, Jen, what do you have on the docket for today?
Well, if you don't know me and oils by now, I'm surprised you haven't guessed, but we're going to work with Breathe Oil
Mhm.
because we're all about the breath work today.
Yeah.
And the emotional properties that Breathe Oil helps promote is it addresses the inability to let go of grief and pain. Individuals in need of breathe struggle to breathe and literally feel suffocated by sadness. They distrust whether it's safe to open and take in life. Breathe encourages individuals to release grief and sadness and to receive genuine love and healing. Breathe imbues individuals with courage to fully open. And I just thought, I can't imagine how many people feel the same way,
Mm,
where when you're going through a challenging time or you just don't even know how to move forward, even if it's not challenging, you just don't know which road to take next or which step to take next. You do hold your breath sometimes. And so, breathe oil is very menthol smelling, but it opens up your lungs and it gives you the openness to give things a chance.
yeah.
Mm,
So,
Awesome.
I
all
love
right.
that.
Well, today we're going to rock and roll with some breath work. What it's about, how did Tana get into it? How does she lead people and how can we do it ourselves? And some people, they change their lives with big decisions, but we want to start with just a single breath. Tana,
Mm.
before we talk about breath work or the farm, who can you tell us like who you were before all of this?
Yes. I mean, we've had this farm since 2013, 2014. Prior to that, I was a hair colorist at a salon for 20 something years.
Oh.
And I was definitely in the more artistic field.
Mm,
But always had a very strong love for nature. Always. I always loved to make my own medicinal tinctures. I
mm,
always had like a passion for that. When I was a little girl, I loved to make little concoctions and like try this. And so I always loved that. And it's things that I did in my free time. I was always into wilderness biology. I
mm,
graduated high school very, very young. So I was too young for university. But biology has always been, had a huge place in my heart, which kind of was interesting being in the salon world, which I
mhm,
love the art, artistic, anything artistic. I did that because it was very easy. And so that's how I got into the salon industry, but it was fun. It was
uh-huh,
so much fun and it was so lively and you do very well monetarily
Yeah.
speaking in that and you have a chance to connect with so many women and I am just such
mhm,
a girl's girl. And it ended up being so much more than the vanity aspect of being in the hair
mhm,
industry. You really have a chance to connect with other women one on one. I refused any male clientele, nothing
mhm,
against, that. I just, have like a connection with females that you just can't get with males.
mhm,
So I was in the hair industry. My husband was in finance.
mhm,
And yeah, we just were living that life. And then something major happened in our lives to make that switch. So, would you like me to get into that?
Absolutely.
So in 2008, my husband got diagnosed with stage 4 colon and liver cancer. That was 4 years into our marriage. We were just getting ready to start a family. We were going to create a whole huge tribe of like 8 children. As you see, it changed into animals. Now I have a tribe of animals. So yeah, we just were living our life. He was going in a direction that he was chasing money. He felt as the male of the household, he needed to provide, he needed to make sure that we lived this life that was just, of abundance,
Mm-hmm.
monetarily speaking. But in turn, he was traveling for months at a time, trying his hardest to just provide for me. And I would say, and I saw him he's a very passionate man and he has such a huge heart and all he wants to do is make a difference. So when he was doing acquisitions for this company and traveling all around the world, speaking in front of billionaires, trying to, make moves, it just wasn't feeding his soul.
Mm-hmm.
And being away from home, being away from me, it was very challenging on him, but he was just I know what he was trying to do. And I kept saying, if you're doing this for me, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not all I care about is our connection and happiness. And so with all of that, he ended up getting obviously unwell. We call it the divine tap on the shoulder. And God, the universe, everything was just like, hey, guess what? You're going the wrong way. This is not what you were meant for. And so he obviously had to stop, everything. We went down the conventional route and he almost passed away a few times in the hospital from complications. And I thought, this is it. If he does one more treatment, he's not going to make it. I felt it with everything in my body said, no more. And you know, he wanted to be so strong and he wanted to show his family, show everyone he could make it through this. Like his body's strong enough, but you can only handle so much. And so we were sitting on the couch. He was hooked up to machines. And I said, forget everyone. Just like think about your body right now. What is your body telling you to do? Like, what do you feel? Do you feel like it's had enough? And at this point, he still, had stuff going on in his body. And I, I know I can make it through this. And I go, just listen to your body, not any of that, not anyone else's opinions. What does it tell you? And he's like, I think it's telling me it's had enough. I go, so let's just stop. And we unplugged the machine and we're like, that's it. We're free. And at this point, he had an ileostomy bag on his stomach. They had taken part of his liver, part of his colon, and the doctors told me the oncologist said, if you stop this, he pulled me aside. He's like, if you stop this, he's going to die. I said, he's dying right now. This is before my eyes. And so we stopped the treatments and we allowed his body to start healing from, everything that had been going on. And we got the ileostomy bag taken out. Thankfully, it was reversible because that was on the fence about it. And then he went to Hippocrates Health Institute and I was already into raw foods and that world, which was so contradictory from where he was. We were not in alignment. I was already in that world and he jumped in. If anyone who knows him, he is an all or nothing kind of guy and he is intense. He jumped in full force. Completely. We did that lifestyle for 4 years because I just don't think you could do it solo. It is a very restrictive lifestyle. So we went full force with that for 4 years, and then we went fruitarian for 4 years, and then, after his body was done detoxing, there's the emotional, the physical, and the
Mm-mm.
spiritual side that I think people don't talk about. It's not just the food. There are so many reasons why someone gets ill,
Mhm.
you know? And the emotional detox, I would say, m was probably worse than the physical detox he
Wow.
went through. There were just so many emotions coming through, but thankfully, thank God we made it through that, and I said, like, "What do you wanna do with your life?" And he goes I go, "This is your opportunity, like, I make enough for both of us, what do you wanna do?" And he goes and he had started hobby farming when he was ill to kinda keep himself grounded, keep his hands in soil, and he had a knack for it and he loved it. I always say his bathroom, how I don't know if guys still do that,
Like
but
bathroom reading?
they like, yeah, they would keep, like, Playboys or something in there. His was, like, teeming with microbes, like, he was completely obsessed and immersed. He just gets completely obsessive. So he was just full force in it. He goes, "I think I wanna be an organic farmer," and we lived in town, not in the city, but in the suburbs. And he's like, "I think I wanna be an organic farmer." I was like, "Okay, let's go, let's do it." And so we sold our house, bought, like, a little cabin, a 300 square foot cabin. We found this property. I used to, like, volunteer at a horse rescue out here, and I fell in love with the area. And, so we found this property and with a lot of imagination, we're like, "This is it. It feels right." So we purchased it, put a little 300 square foot cabin on there, lived in that for 9 years. Obviously, we don't live in that anymore. Eventually, we built a big girl house
I
with, like,
love
a
it.
normal
A big
sized
girl
shower and
animal house.
bathroom. Yeah, a big girl animal house to fill it up with the animals. And yeah, it's just been, that's how we got into this whole thing. He just had this dream, and I feel that my purpose in this lifetime is a support.
Mm,
I've supported my mother, my father through, their transitionings, and I was supported for him. And I just feel like that is my place in this life is to step back and be a support system.
mhm.
And like, how can I support you through this? And yeah, it's just been a beautiful journey, a really beautiful journey.
That's so amazing though that you see that as your gift and
Yeah.
you're part of your purpose and that you also embrace it because I
Yeah.
think some people would be like, God, why do I always have to take care of everybody else? And,
Yeah.
when is it my turn? And when you genuinely like, give from the heart and you know
Yeah.
those boundaries as well, and you're aligned with your purpose, it just feels right. Like there's just no
Right.
question about it. And think of
Yeah.
how many people we are so blessed to have in our lives, in our small
Mhm.
circles that are the support person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think sometimes in life we have this, what is my purpose? And you think it has to be this huge, huge, impactful, world changing, world shifting thing, but it doesn't. Your purpose can just be as simple as bringing joy to others.
Mhm.
Like that is a beautiful purpose to bring light and love into the world, and it doesn't have to. And I think being able to step back from yourself sometimes is challenging and not being in the forefront and not getting like the credit per
Mm.
se, um, that is still important.
Yeah,
It's still huge because nothing else can happen without the support,
that's
without the
true.
cheerleader, without
Mhm.
that cheerleader on the sideline. So yeah,
That's
it's
so
it's
true.
it's
Well,
beautiful.
amongst this journey, like out of everything, what I guess kind of shifted for you to realize that breath work was like a medicine for you guys?
Well, so that happened through, obviously through the emotional healing.
Mhm.
I didn't find that during what's going on,
Mhm.
with him with all the cancer and everything. So I was his mother, who I was extremely close with. She was like my soul sister. I told her, "You're my best
Mm.
friend. You're my sister, you are my, everything. We just fit together,
That's amazing.
and she ended up passing of cancer 4 years ago, the same cancer he had. And, so she was a huge, huge transcendental meditator. So when I was Joseph and I have been together a very long time. So when I was in my early 20s, she talked to me about it, and I did the training, did everything. Joseph had already been doing transcendental meditation, or he had been trained in transcendental meditation. I loved it. I would go into that transcendental state just like simply, like it was so
Wow.
easy for me. Always felt so incredible every time I did it. And I thought, oh, that's it. It's so easy for everyone. Why doesn't everyone do this? Why, and Joseph would hesitate, and he would be very resistant to it because he wouldn't be able to quiet the chatter of his mind. He wouldn't be able to get into that state. So he was having a different experience. I'm like, what do you mean? It's easy. Regurgitating what my teacher told me, which was, you just think about you just keep saying your mantra in your mind. It's like if your mantra is the lamp and you have everything else on the table, you see everything else on the table, but you just put your focus towards the lamp. And I thought, it's so simple. Like, what's wrong? Why aren't you doing it? And he's like, yeah, I can't. He's like, it just doesn't work for me. And I thought, wow, okay, so not everyone can calm the chatter of their minds as easily. He's a little, John, he's like a little, he's a little ADD. He's all over the place. And so I thought there has to be another way. One of my clients, she worked for the Art of Living, and she kept telling me breath work, breath work, breath work. And I thought, it's just breathing. Like, what is that going to do?
Yeah.
What is that going to do for you? And years she had been talking to me about breath work. Oh, it changes. She was a scientist, or she is a scientist, and she would go into war-stricken areas and she would teach this breath work practice, and it
Wow.
would help heal and pull the emotional trauma. And transcendental meditation does that as well. But it takes years and years and years to get through the layers. It's a very, very slow process. And she's saying that this can pull immediately in one session. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Sure. Sure it does. And so, God kept giving me breath work, breath work, breath work, breath, like constant. And I would get an email, breath work. The Art of Living would email me, breath work. We're having a new breath work training. And I would just brush it off, brush it off. And so then I find the healing codes. The healing code is incredible. I did the healing codes for years. Joseph did the healing codes for years. And this is something that really helped with all of those emotional blockages in your body. I think everyone should read that book. Everyone should practice the healing codes. It is something that you can do. You don't need training on. All you need is a $10 book from Amazon.
I just
Or,
ordered it, Sandra.
I'm
yeah,
writing it down right
I
now.
have
or
it.
whatever
Yeah,
you
she
need.
told
It's
me
by
about
Dr.
it.
Alexander Lloyd.
Okay.
It's an incredible book. It seems you're like, it can't be this easy, but it just makes sense. And I did it for years. And if you think about it like a trigger, the more triggered you are, the more emotional stuff you have stuck in your body. So, and I like to use the example of, like, why are we taking things so seriously? Say you have been working all day long. You ask your husband in the morning, it's trash day. Before you leave the house, take out the trash. Simple. Okay. You go to work, you're fighting traffic, your boss is a jerk. You have to go to the grocery store, get food for everyone in the whole household. You've been cleaning all morning. You come home, you start prepping for dinner, you go to put the trash in the garbage, and it's overflowing with trash. And you're like, oh no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. All I asked you to do was take out the freaking trash, and he couldn't even do that. And what is he doing? Sitting on the couch, looking at Instagram or whatever. This is all completely a fictitious story, not saying it never has happened. I'm just saying. And so you blow up. You're like, oh, How could he? All I asked him, look at everything I've done today. All I asked him to do was take out the trash. And you're like, well, what's the worst thing about not taking out the trash? It's going to be a little smelly. The garage might stink a little. Maybe we'll get a little cockroaches because there's trash now. But it's not really, in the big scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. It's the emotion that that evoked inside your body. I am unappreciated. I'm unloved. And so within the healing codes, this all of these emotions stem back from childhood. You could have the best parents in the world, but we are looking at a situation from a child's brain. We don't understand work. We don't understand money. We just understand that maybe our needs weren't met at that exact moment that we wanted them needed. And we say, okay, they don't have time for me. Something else is more important. Maybe they don't love me. Maybe this, maybe that. Like, obviously, that's not what happened. That's not real. It's just, and we're still looking at that situation and those emotions that are locked inside our body from that child's perspective, not our adult's perspective. We weren't there, we're not that same person that we were when we were a child. Our brain is not the same. We understand things now. We have life experiences. So all of those things get stuck inside your body. So in the healing code, you go back to the first memory. If the emotion that was evoked was, I am unloved, I am unworthy, maybe that's what it felt. And you try to pinpoint that emotion of what that made you feel. You find the first time, you ever felt that way. Maybe it was, you made a birthday card for your mom, and you spent all day making it, drew beautiful little pictures. You gave it to your mom. She's like, oh, thank you so much. And then you find it on the floor. Maybe it got ripped accidentally. It wasn't hanging on the refrigerator, whatever it was. Like, oh, she doesn't even care about this. I spent all this time. It's something as simple as that. And it's not the mother's fault. It's not the father's fault. It's just the perspective. And so you do the healing codes according to that emotion. And it is so powerful and it has changed my life. I used to be quite triggered, or maybe not quite triggered. It's all relative, really. For me, it was quite triggering. Like, I felt like I was a triggered person. I felt like I was fiery, but a lot of people say you were definitely not fiery. But compared to where I am now, it felt fiery. So, it has really changed. Like, things just don't really bother me. I can understand a lot more, and it's just been truly life-changing. So that was, one of the tools, and then going back, I went on a rant. So focusing back on the next step was later on, I just kept hearing breath work, and I was meditating, and I just kept hearing breath work, breath work, breath work. And so I found a breath work technique that really quickly pulls from the emotional body. And that's what I studied. And yeah, and I didn't want it to be too woo woo because a lot of people that I'm in contact with are not woo woo. you know,
Uh-huh.
I
Sure.
need something a little bit more just real.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that woo woo is not real. Just for me, it's not authentic to me. You can be spiritual but still be like a normal person, you know? And that's what, I gravitate towards personally. And there's someone for everyone. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of yerba mate. Everyone is going to find what they resonate with. So all you can do is be yourself.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that journey of all the things. Like, I am like, I'm
You're
still
welcome.
absorbing and
Yeah.
just taking in your journey with your husband and then how you got into breath work. And I'm inspired even,
Thank you.
listening to that first piece of it. And I want to like step into breath work and
Yeah.
talk about if there's someone that's listening, or someone who's
Mm,
never experienced breath work before, or who might be a little trepidatious and not know
mhm.
exactly where to start. How would you describe breath work to someone new, or someone who's new to this practice?
So there are so many types of breath work.
Mhm,
They are not all the same. Um, some are very relaxing, some are more intensive.
mhm,
I And again, someone can make it what they want.
Okay.
You get what you put into it. So if you're looking for something with this specific type of breath work, I facilitate a 3-part breath. And if you do it at a faster pace, it pulls from the emotion, like the blocked emotions.
Mm.
If you do it at a slower pace, it can be very pleasurable and more blissful. So it really depends on what you're going for. And I try to really communicate that in the beginning. When I'm facilitating, you can do what you want with this class. Not everyone's ready to dig deep into that. There's so much growth in discomfort.
Yes.
You grow during the challenging times, not through the easy times. The
Mm.
easy times are beautiful. They're great. They're our reprieve. But if you want to grow, you have to challenge yourself. And I always say, get comfortable being uncomfortable because
Mhm.
life is not always going to be comfortable, you know?
Mhm.
And we live in a society that makes us very, very comfortable at all periods of time. You have the AC, you have the heat, you have like everything to make everything around you perfect. But
Mhm.
that's not when we grow. Hard times is when we grow. Challenging times are when we actually grow. So you can, just float through breath work, or you can dig a little deeper and go for it. I'm definitely an efficient person. This is one of the reasons why I chose this type of breath work because I like efficiency. Not everyone has, like in transcendental meditation, not everyone has 20 minutes twice a day to fit into their lifestyle. You can do this once a week and feel benefits each time you do it. You can feel a release each time you do it. And you start feeling that. It's different for everyone, but you can start feeling something after 10 minutes of doing it because there's an 8 to 10 minute mark line in this type of breath work that the prefrontal cortex of your brain goes into transient hypofrontality. And when that happens, we know the prefrontal cortex of the brain is responsible for the chatter of the mind, the overthinking. And so at that 8 to 10 minute mark line, of a strong practice, of a strong 3-part breath practice, that calms. So the beauty of it is opposed to meditation where you're trying to clear your mind, you don't have to. If you want to think about what you're going to have for lunch later that day, picking the kids up at school, it doesn't matter what you're thinking about at that all you have to do is just keep doing the pattern, keep doing the pattern. You can let your mind run wild. And then no matter what, at 8 to 10 minutes, it goes,
Huh.
you don't have to do anything. All you're doing is just continuing on with your pattern. You can let your mind go crazy, whatever you want to think about. My mouth is so dry. Why does the music have to be so loud? There's certain elements that really evoke the emotion with this type of breath work. You play music very, very loudly. Music evokes emotion.
Yeah.
So when I facilitate a class, there is a flow to it, that the first one song it's very lively. It's very loud. It's non-confrontational. It's very fun. You're like, "Oh, this is okay," "Oh, my mouth feels dry," because it's all done through your mouth and nothing through your nose, which also separates it from other types of breath.
Yeah.
So people, they might like, "Oh my gosh, my mouth is so dry. Oh my goodness, what is the neighbor doing? What is that noise? I wonder what the chef is gonna make for lunch," like all of these things. "Oh, did I have coffee? Do I have to go to the bathroom? Like, what's going on?" Um, I can't possibly sit here she didn't even tell us how long we're gonna be doing it. Like all the things that go through your mind, you're like, I can't do this for too much longer. But then you keep doing it and then it just like the next song gets a little bit less energetic and it kind of just does this flow where you go from, I have nothing to be nervous about. So, and then your breath takes over and then your body just goes into it. The songs start getting a little bit deeper, a little bit more emotional, and whatever happens in their body is whatever happens. But there's a lot of physical things like visceral reactions that also happen in the body. It's not just the emotional. And I always go over that because I hear that not everyone goes over things that can happen in your body. And it can be a little alarming.
Yeah.
Like you can have lobster claw. Most people that are doing a strong practice get lobster claw hands. Your hands just kind of like clam up like
Yeah,
this.
lock up.
Some
Mhm.
yeah, lock up. There's shaking. We're talking about energy that typically isn't moving through your body is now moving through your body. So all the things that can happen, eyes can be fluttering. My mouth does a really weird thing. I think it feels worse than it is, but I'm just like, I don't even know what it does, but it gets it people look interesting
Yeah.
when it's happening. They're definitely looking interesting. Sweating, but cold, just shaking. Yeah, I've seen someone like literally like crucifix, their legs were in the air, like they were yeah, there can be screaming, crying, there's a lot of different releases that your body does through a strong practice of breath work.
I always say too, some people look like they're shifting like a sloth, and you could also look like you're having an exorcism. And this would be one of those experiences. And,
Yeah.
I have to say from personal experience, um, when you get to experience a breathwork class with Tawna, which are not super frequent, so it's a very special thing. She has one of those domes. You know how people will go and stay in domes and it's super bougie and stuff? She has a big one of those that they do like breathwork and yoga and things like that in. But it's interesting because she's talking about the different levels of sensory things that she adds into it, and the dome itself is actually part of the sensory experience because there's no corners, right? There's no hidden spots. Almost like we're trying to find all of these things in our body that are in the hidden spots. But
Mhm.
when you're in this dome, you can literally talk so softly in one part and you can hear it throughout the whole thing. So, first of all, don't go in with any secrets because everybody's going to hear them.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
true.
But I am a very cautious person. When you grow up in, a dangerous or traumatizing household, you learn, right, to understand sounds and what that footstep means. And so you're always on guard and you don't really trust a lot of people. And even though I'm very much of an open book, I'm still very cautious. And Tana has that cheerleader energy. So at first I'm like, okay, is this just going to be rah, rah, ree, kick him in the knee? Like we're all so excited. Or is this going to be real and deep? And like she was talking about, she likes to be efficient. And I totally align with that. Like I will do the hard work, especially if it's like straight to the point and fast and furious. I'm all about it. But in a new setting with people I don't know, right? And I'm going into this dome, and this was through the retreat, and everything on the in her retreat offerings is an optional thing, but I'm not opting out because fear is not a full stop for me. It's actually not a stop at all. But so I go in there, and the part that I think really made me feel safe, secure, seen, held, all of the things that you could think of was genuinely her introduction to everything, because she does go over in grave detail of what could happen in your body.
Yeah.
And even when it is happening, it's still honestly a little scary because you're like, are you sure I'm not having a stroke right now? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
and like you have zero control. And then you're thinking, oh, maybe I breathed wrong and I'm really just hyperventilating. Maybe
Mhm.
that's why I can't feel anything. Like you have so many thoughts and questions, but all of those are softened, I guess. The worry is softened because she does such a great job at explaining upfront. And she's there to nurture. She does nurture and care for you all throughout. Almost like, if you were going to an ayahuasca retreat and you had a shaman and all the support systems. And you don't have to worry about anything because they lead you and guide you through it. She very much does that. And the music, um, all her music choices for everything she does is something. She's intentional and it does pair really well because it's music that just aligns with this type of movement and emotion. And it was all of those things. She's spot on. Very impactful, very scary, but very therapeutic at the same time.
So wonderful to hear the nurturing aspect of it, because I can imagine as a first timer,
Mm.
thinking to yourself, my gosh, I'm not going to have control of my body and what comes out and, what happens after, right? Like
Uh-huh.
what is, so, I think that's important to hear, that there is that opportunity to just metabolize and get out some of those things. And then also have that nurturing aspect of Tana's,
Mm.
guidance through that.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
And, everyone's experience is different, and some
yeah.
people have problems coming back into their body. There's certain, I
Mm,
can kinda see wh who's where, and some people that need a little help getting through something, some people that probably would need to get through it on their own. That happens too,
yeah.
and peppermint helps ground you after the
Mm.
experience. So you can always have peppermint available if somebody's looking like they need a little help getting back in their body.
Mm. That's interesting.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So who needs to, when you think about breath work and you think
Mhm.
about kind of who it would impact, what would you say are some of the signs that someone may need breath work, or maybe it's something that they're, pushing away or things, but do you ever
Yeah.
notice yet, that person might need some breath work because of X?
Yeah. I would say that you can kind of, I mean, everything I do is by a feeling. If I
Mm.
feel a heaviness coming from someone, particularly in their heart area, but I would say that most people need breath work.
Uh-huh.
Most people need to have some type of outlet, whether it's the healing codes, whether it's breath work. It's imperative to work on the emotional body. It
Mm.
is not something that I think that one person should do and somebody else doesn't need it.
Uh,
I believe that every single person needs it because everyone has trauma. I
Mhm.
don't care what you've been through. I don't care if it's extreme trauma. I don't care if it's minimal trauma. Every time somebody feels like they're going to cry
huh.
and pushes it down, you now have emotional blockages in your body. Just think about all the times when you've wanted to cry and you pushed it back down.
I'm thinking
Countless.
emotional constipation.
Yeah, countless times. I mean, my goodness. Or you've been angry and you pushed it down.
Yeah.
Like all of these things, like all of these emotions that us good girls, you have to be this, you have to be that, you s- you suppress it. And we're trained at a very young age to suppress it. I was a minister's daughter.
Mm,
You are suppressing. You have to be the good girl. I was always the wild one, you know? And they're
mm.
like, "Oh, that youngest daughter, she's back behind the church again, kissing boys." Like, my dad's like, "My goodness, get over here right now." And it was just, you always have to be something. And so I believe everyone needs to have some outlet to start removing these blockages from our body. If we do not work on the emotional body and removing blockages in the body, it creates disease and illness.
Mm.
Mm,
That is not, that is real.
Yep.
It is not just the foods we eat, it is the emotions that we suppress. It's the trauma inside our bodies, whether you were born with the trauma or you've acquired it in this lifetime.
Mm.
It's important. Like, it's my biggest, like, we always thought, Joseph and I always thought, oh, it was purely his diet. That's how he got cancer. And then throughout the years, we said, no, that was not it. It was 100% emotional.
Huh.
wow. Wow.
So,
So, thinking about emotions
mm,
and breath work, tell me or share with us, why does breath work or how does breath work affect the emotions so much? You talked about, some of the things that happen in the brain when
Yeah.
you are, using the breath work. But
Yeah.
when it gets to the emotional body, is it, allowing an opening? Talk to us more about that.
Well, breath is energy.
Mhm.
So when you're flooding your body, all it's doing is really opening up the energetic pathways. So
Mm,
that's what you're doing with that strong breath. You're
mm,
breathing so much, you're opening it up, you're putting energy going through your body, and then that's how you're releasing. Obviously, the music is part of the release.
Mhm.
You could do it without music. It just helps it along a little bit, you know? You don't have to do it with music, but it does really help pull a little bit more. Um, but so with that breathing, of course, it's increasing oxygen, it's creating dopamine, serotonin, it's reducing the stress hormone cortisol by 20%. It's just incredible. And part of that is just the moving of energy, in our energetic pathways. So
amazing. Oh my goodness. And when you started breath work, was there anything that surprised you? Anything that, you know, a story or an anecdote or something that said, "Oh boy, this is powerful."
yeah, there was. So the first time I did breath work, I thought, I was like, I'm good.
Uh-huh.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm fine. Like, I've moved through my grief. I've lost a lot in my life.
Mm.
And, I lost my father to ALS in 2016. It was very fast. I was a daddy's girl. We were like two peas in a pod. And that was, he was my hero. And it
Mm.
was very, very hard to watch him deteriorate at that speed. And then my mother simultaneously got Parkinson's and she deteriorated. And my dad told me before he passed, he said, please take care of your mother. And I said, regardless, I got it. And so I was my mom's caretaker. And then at the last 2 years of her life, I told my sister, I'm like, I need help. Like, then she's wheelchair bound, diapers, she got dementia. And it was just a lot. My brother lived at the house with her, but there was just too much. She needed constant supervision. So I took the first half, my amazing sister who I couldn't live without, Tina. She took the other half and we did that. And so then our mother passed. It'll be 2 years this April.
Mm.
You know, 4 years ago, Joseph's mother passed. Then 6 months later, his father passed of
Oh, wow.
cancer as well. My soul sister, who was just we just connected. And that's when it's Joseph's cousin, Sandra, and she was an intuitive. She did theta work. She was just incredible woman. She passed of cancer as well. It'll be a year this April. 1 year, yeah, a year this April. And so she was a crucial person in my life. I never openly spoke about certain parts of me, like even to Joseph, about being an empath. I would just say, "Oh, I just know," or about any information that's channeled through spirit. And I wouldn't talk about that. I wouldn't talk about, seeing spirits and stuff like that. I just kept it all quiet. And then when she came into my life, we just started talking about it. And then I finally opened up about all of it. So she was crucial. So with all of this loss, and then of course my animals, I've had so many animals just, along the way, along my 45 years of life. And so my first session of breath work, and I still thought I moved through all that. I really truly thought, because I'll let myself feel. And I always say I let myself fall apart for 3 days. But I wasn't able to fall apart with my father's passing.
Mm.
I had to keep it all together. I had to be there for my mom. I had to organize. I had to speak with the hospice. I had to say, okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead and, you know, unplug him. And there was so much backlash from, there was just so much. And I just took it all on my shoulders, took it all on my shoulders. And I thought I worked through it. But let me tell you what, when I did that first breathwork session, if you want to talk about looking possessed, I can only imagine what I look like.
Wow.
I was screaming,
Mm,
crying. I mean, the grief and just like pain that
Yeah.
was coming out of my body was so intense.
mm,
I've never, it was like I couldn't, I was like, shaking, like just like convulsing during the process. It was so wild. I was alone, thank God, because I think someone would have called 911. And I was just like, what just came out of me? And I thought, there's so much more in there that I'm like
mm,
clueless about because I have suppressed unknowingly thinking I'm working through my emotions. I haven't. I haven't worked through everything. I've suppressed a lot of this. So that was a huge surprise. And then, of course, the lobster claw hands were the least of my thoughts at that point. My whole body was just buzzing. Like I was just like, like
mm.
the energy. It was just very like out of body, wild. Like my whole body was numb, but just vibrating at such a fast frequency. My head was just like, it just moved down my whole body. So it was very intense.
When you were doing this, so
Yeah.
this was your first time, were you doing, and you said you were alone, so were you just at home when you did this?
Yeah.
Did you
Mhm.
watch a video or you had
It was
taught
it
yourself?
was during my training.
Oh, during your training, okay.
During my training. I have a hard time being so sensitive to other people's energies. To be in
Absolutely.
a room with other people, I have done breath work with other people before, but I would find myself having their experience
Mm,
instead of my own, and I couldn't make it past that 8 to 10-minute mark line because I was just like, "Ugh," you open yourself up and you're like, "Ooh,
mhm.
what's this? This doesn't feel like my experience."
Well, this is
So,
interesting because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, how were you able to also act as your own guide at the same time
Mhm.
as going through this, right? Because, like,
Mhm.
different uh, times throughout my own experience, right? You noticed that I needed something. I'm not going to say what because I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And you came over to facilitate a little bit of guidance for me. But, like, how were you able to give yourself that same support and know also how to come out of that and to calm and all that other stuff you're going through the training and you're doing
yeah.
it by yourself? That's a lot.
Yeah, I felt comfortable and confident
Mhm.
with what I knew, and there was an end to the playlist. You
Mm,
know what I mean?
smart.
There was an end to the playlist. It wasn't on repeat.
Okay.
So I knew that I allocated a specific amount of time and I went through it, and then you do come back in your body.
Hmm.
And I had peppermint with me. I smelled it, I tasted it, and that kind of regrounds you.
Mhm.
Sometimes I take a little longer to come back in my body. Sometimes I
Okay.
need 4 songs. I call it, basically the shavasana of breath work.
Huh.
Mhm.
And, where your body's just kind of taking in everything that you did. That's what Shavasana is. You're taking everything in from what you did during the practice. So there's those Shavasana songs where you're kind of going back to regular breath. I know which song I was ending on.
Hmm.
So once this other song comes on, I know I just need to go back to my regular breath and stop and then
That's a
just
great
relax.
method.
So I think that's one of the importance of a playlist. You don't really want something like an alarm
Yeah.
Yeah.
pulling you out, something that's so like jarring.
Jarring. Hmm.
Yeah, so it's a song. I almost always, even when I'm facilitating, I pretty much always end the practice on the song Forgive.
Hmm.
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
Like, I forgive myself, I forgive others, and that is kind of the wrap up. Because even when I'm facilitating, I'm in it, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I need, like, that one song that's always my trigger to, like, pull me out of it too.
No.
So smart.
I love
Yeah.
that. Oh my goodness. So I would love for our listeners to get a taste
Mhm.
of the superhero Firefly energy
Yeah.
breath work.
Yeah.
And I would love to ask Tawna if you wouldn't mind just guiding us, um, to like a simple kind of 1 minute
Mhm.
um, breath work or, just session to help us get a taste of what this is. Is that something that we can do together?
Yeah, I can definitely do a slight demonstration of how it works
Yeah.
and show the different patterns of breath. Um, and just give like a little pointers like throughout the day, just a deep belly inhalation, a full breath, and a sigh is
Mhm.
like kind of a reset for your mind because when you sigh, we do it throughout the day and it's unconscious.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Why is that? Well, our body is triggering that relaxation because whenever you sigh, it's a release and it is triggering your brain to relax. So when you're feeling stressed, sometimes you're like, like, and it does relax you. And it's your body doing it on its own. So whenever you're feeling something, you can just take a deep breath and just sigh. Like that relaxed me. I'm starting to feel relaxed. So then the breath work itself, and I always say you want to be laying down
Mhm.
and you have ideally no pillow. We, of course, have people with neck issues, back issues, but the reason for no pillow is what happens when I do this and I try to breathe?
Right.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm constricted, I'm not open. So the point of having no pillow is it opens your neck for your breathing. And you do kind of get a little wild during the breath, the breath work. So it doesn't really matter which hand you have on your chest, which hand you have on your belly, whatever feels comfortable. And the actual breath work itself is 80% through the belly, 20% through the chest, with an exhalation, a sigh. So just be warned as you're doing this kind of breath sitting up, that's why you lay down, is you get dizzy.
Mm.
So just keep that in mind right now. So, and if anyone watching this is going to try it, I suggest laying down
Mhm.
because you do get dizzy.
Mhm.
you, but it doesn't matter when you're laying down. So a slow breath would be, I don't know if you can kind of see me, but, and it's harder to do this like sitting up. It's harder to get because you're not as open, but it's I don't know if you can see my belly and my chest moving because
Yes.
I
Yes.
was I wasn't looking. So that is a slow pattern. That is going to be very pleasurable,
Mhm.
relaxing, blissful. A fast one. Let me take a drink of lemonade. And this is my go-to. And remember, it's 3 parts, and the whole point of 3-part, right, is because it's so imperative to have that 3-part, because if you're doing a fast pace, what's this? Hyperventilating. Sorry, sorry,
Yeah.
Sasha. I'm fine. I'm just like, "Oh, what's
What's
happening?"
going on?
Um, so the point of that is to really keep that separation. The main point is the belly, and it's like that extra sip through the chest, and that's
Mm.
just to create that like pinpoint pause and you'll see it and you'll hear it while I'm doing it. And then that release is really a sigh. It's a second, 2 seconds, maybe, and it's a sigh is just a release. It's a surrender.
Hmm.
You're pulling up, you're pulling from the body, and then you're just sighing it out. And it's as simple as that. It's so simple. And you're like, how can something this simple be this powerful? Power of the breath. It's
Yes.
the first thing we do. when we come into this world, and it's the
Yeah.
last thing we do when we exit. It's powerful.
Sure.
Okay, so this is my pace. This is a faster pace, and I don't even think you need to get results. You don't even need to do anything faster than this. So it's and then you see my mouth, and it's easy if you create like an O. And it doesn't have to be that fast. It can also be I do a faster pace, but it can be you are going to feel the object is to ideally keep that pace. And so in my classes, when I'm doing it, I'm saying, this is where you're setting the pace. This is why you're here, you know. And if you choose to lay down and do something, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you choose to do something, why not do it for the whole purpose that you laid on the mat for it? Like you're ready to get into the emotional body. Why not now?
Yes.
What are we waiting for?
Okay, can I just share something?
Yes.
So
Please.
we're doing it, and
Yeah.
I'm singing "We Will Rock You." But no, but wait.
That's a good starting song.
And then I'm saying to myself, I'm gonna rock these emotions. I'm gonna rock these like feelings or these
Yeah.
thoughts or these boulders that are in my body. Because I don't know why, but I was picturing boulders and like breaking boulders and things. But
Yeah.
yes, we will rock you. That's what came whew, that's what came to me.
That's a good beat, actually.
Yes, yes. Shifties, if you try this, please comment below and tell us, did anything come up for you? And even in that quick little demonstration, that's what kind of evoked for me. So I'm looking forward to actually taking the time and laying down and doing this to see what happens and
Yeah.
share my experience, because that demonstration was powerful. Thank you.
I know, I
You're
felt it just
welcome.
a little bit already, and I'm like, "Oh god, if
Like,
I."
not right now.
I
Yeah.
know.
Not right now, people.
Yes.
Look,
Yes.
we just all open our eyes and jump like this. But
Seriously.
yeah, and and just the pointers are, don't get going in that pattern until you can feel. And the point of the hand on the belly and the hand on the chest is so you feel that belly rise, and you imagine that 80%. You can even focus on getting 90% through your belly. That belly breath is the most important thing. And then you go that extra sip
Yeah.
at the top to create that just to create that difference, because again, you do not want to hyperventilate. And if you start going at a fast pace and you are not separating those two, that is going to be uncomfortable. And hyperventilating causes stress. And that's the opposite of what we're trying to do here. And you just remember that that sigh is truly a sigh. It's a release, a surrender, you know.
Sandra's getting that word surrender a couple times this week. She's
Oh,
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, dang it, universe, I hear you."
the
Okay.
surrender, saying yes, and all of it. Woo! My brain is buzzing. So another part of our ritual is what we call our shift sip, and it's an opportunity. Jen and I love to create different drinks and just get imaginative in the kitchen and see what we can come up with. Some of it is for taste, some of it is for fun, some of it is for health. Since Tawna, I'm sure you have lots to share on that front. So,
Yeah. I love a good mocktail.
Mhm.
so do we. So do
That's our
we.
jam.
Uh, So, Tawna, you have
Oh.
you have a very special place with sips, and I want to hear all about it because
Oh, yeah.
I've been meeting you, and I'd love to learn about it. So, talk
Yeah.
to us about your approach, your sips, like what inspires you with them. I'd love to hear about that. So, with all the drinks that you make, what was the idea behind it? Where did the beverages come from?
So I like to always take medicinal things and make them taste good.
Mm.
Like we said before, there's a time and a place for everything. Sometimes I just take brain boost and I just put it straight in my mouth. Sometimes I make like a special little drink, particularly if I'm hanging out with friends. Like something that's great if you're hanging out with friends is make sure you inquire a turmeric extract and a lion's mane extract
Okay.
because I don't know about you, but it makes me just very chatty. You're like,
Mm.
yeah, you're always chatty, girl.
That's
They're like, I don't think
interesting.
you need anything to make you chatty. uh, but yeah, I love making things like that, sparkling water, and then I'll add like the brain boost, or you can add any kind of, lion's mane and turmeric because the two of those just kind of do a lot for your brain and you kind of make your brain a little buzzy. And so that's something I love. And I love the basil lemonade.
Mhm.
I did put brain boost in it. That's why my color is a little different.
I definitely have
But
a list of sips of yours that we'll go through for
Yes.
sure. Because I'm like, we need to talk about each of them and what's in them and how she makes them because they
yeah,
are knock your socks off amazing.
they're easy. They're
Mhm.
really easy. It's nothing. I mean, I'm not doing anything special. It's just, you know, like a basil lemonade. I just love a basil lemonade. I take the holy basil. Sometimes I mix some African basil, sometimes Thai. It really depends on the season. Sometimes lemon basil, Geneva, it really just depends on the season, but I always like to make sure that there's holy basil in there. Holy basil is so good for you. It's an adaptogenic. It's great for men and women, but I always think, for women particularly, our bodies go through so many hormone fluctuations, like
Yes.
in one 24-hour period.
Yeah. Sandra, that's the Tulsi.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Listen,
So it
I need
has,
it all. Well, Jennifer had introduced me to Tulsi tea, and I
yeah.
was just like, what is this? What is this magic that's happening? And you see me sipping on something today that looks a little questionable in a glass, but it's
It's not a urine sample.
not at all. It looks like it, but it's actually
No shade. I'm not throwing shade if you know something I don't know.
we're all here to learn, okay? It's actually saffron tea, so it's like
Oh,
saffron.
nice. I
And
love
it just
saffron.
helps with, like, mood and anxiety and all of that, and I just love the idea of just taking all of the elements of nature and creating what's needed
Yeah.
for the body, and
Mhm.
using these sips as medicine, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
and really just supporting us and where we are and all of that, like, the hormonal
Mhm.
shifts, girl, I hear that, and it's like, shower me with all the things, like, what are the teas that I'm supposed to be drinking? I will try and do anything, so
Oh, yes.
I love all of that. Um, and so Tawna, my last question, thinking
Yeah.
about drinks and what makes it intentional for you? When you're thinking about, the sips that you have or the sips that you make, what makes it intentional?
I mean, everything that I put out there is also started with just my personal things. Like, what do I need? Because
Yeah,
if I need it, other people probably need it too.
100%.
So I love like a turmeric elixir. With turmeric, we grow the turmeric and then ginger and then lemon and then black pepper for absorption, inflammation. Turmeric alone is just such a powerhouse for your emotions. It is equivalent to an antidepressant.
Mhm.
It's a blood thinner. So for men, you know,
Yeah.
whoop.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that happen.
It creates circulation.
It creates very good circulation. Uh,
You would hope
and
it's
for
good
us as
circulation.
women, it just helps with our hormones,
Yeah.
adaptogenic, skin health, everything. And then with basils and stuff like that, I mean, they keep your body in homeostasis. Adaptogenic again, it's good for cancers. It's like good for so many different things. And I love a good lemon balm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Love a good lemon balm. I've been doing or our lemon balm is just popping right now. So lemon balm tea, I just want people to feel nourished and like it and just know that you can have healthy things and also have delicious things,
Yes.
and there's ways to get if you're not one to take tinctures and stuff like that, you can still take things in other ways. And everyone can do these things at home.
Mhm.
You don't have to purchase, I mean, you would have to, if you don't grow it, you have to purchase something.
Mhm.
But, you can, if you want to make your own lemon balm at home, lemon balm tea. I like to use fresh just because,
Yeah.
I mean, I have it
It
and it's
has
still
more of a robust flavor when it's
more
fresh too,
robust.
because
It
even if
does.
you were to buy it online or from an
Yeah.
apothecary, it really depends on the variety and when it was
Right.
picked and how it was dried, and all of those things
It's true.
really matter.
Yeah. I mean, you could make exactly. I agree because it does. And if you're trying to get that aromatic,
Mhm.
because lemon balm particularly is so heat sensitive. So even when you're making a tincture or something out of it, it's so sensitive to heat. It's one of those, like I say, in whenever I do a botanical medicine class, there's there's certain like hot infusions, decoctions,
Mhm.
percolation method, maceration method. There's so many different methods for so many different things. And the tender leaves, like holy basil, if you're going to heat them, like lemon balm, you basically boil the water and then take it off so it stops boiling. And then you put the leaves in and you just leave it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that's it. Like otherwise they'll turn brown. Like they can still be nice and bright and green. And once they start turning brown, the flavor changes
Yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
completely. So
It does. It's amazing. She makes so many different things. That's how I was introduced to the Tulsi tea because when we went on the gratitude weekend of gratitude retreat, she had these homemade kombuchas and there was another drink. I don't remember what it was, but then also the Tulsi. And the second I had a cup, it was like crack for me
Yeah.
because I was like, instantly, my body was like, "I need so much of this," that I
mm,
probably didn't even save any for anybody else because I just kept drinking it and drinking it and drinking it. And so now we call it calm the fuck down tea because it really helps mellow
does.
you out to where you can be, like,
Mhm.
calm and assertive and not
Yeah.
crazy and assertive.
Yeah. It's true. Like there's certain things like particularly if somebody is like on edge,
Yeah.
lemon balm.
Yeah, it is.
Lemon balm and reishi, those are like your little survival kits for, you know, your adrenals.
Yes, well, she makes this I'm gonna read you the ingredients because, we became friends with some of the other people we met at the retreat because it was so weird when I got there. There's 9 domes, you can sleep 2 people per, and I was, like, looking around once everybody's there and everybody's chatting, and I'm like, "This is weird." I've never been in an environment where we're all, like, here for the same higher good purpose and we all have good intention and we can all like speak freely without ego and defensiveness. And I'm like, I don't know how to behave in an environment like this. But
Yeah.
anyways, so we met some friends there and they brought us some of this because I'm about 3 hours away from Tana, so I don't get to pop over there as much. But this is called Organic Sacred Basil Lemonade with reishi extract, adaptogenic, which means it's a stress reducer for those that don't know. Um, but it helps balance clarity and vitality. The ingredients are all organic, but lemons, reverse osmosis water, Thai basil, holy Tulsi basil, regular basil, maple syrup, and reishi extract. And see, since she uses maple, then it makes it vegan, plant based. But
Mhm.
it's like no other flavor you've ever had because, like, everybody's had lemonade before. They've had mint lemonade or strawberry lemonade, but just the flavors that all the different types of basil exudes, literally, it awakens all your taste buds and makes them dance. And Tana
Mm.
is totally in my tribe of like, let's take things to a flavor max. Like, she'll grow fresh cayenne peppers and eat it with watermelon.
Mm,
So good, girl.
so
Yes,
good.
Nice.
So good.
it's crazy. But they grow they specialize in growing a variety of mushrooms like you have hardly ever seen, but also turmeric. Because if you
Yeah.
guys follow me on socials, you know I had my turmeric harvest this year, and it
Mhm.
all came from Gratitude Gardens because they taught us how to grow them on our retreat, and then they shared with us a knuckle, I guess you would call it, and we were able
Mhm.
to take it home and propagate it. And we had the yellow turmeric, the Thai turmeric, and the black turmeric, and I grew them all. And this is what they specialize in. And so they make these tonics that you can get. But
Mhm.
when we did our Valentine's special dinner at her place, she made, was it called Golden Rita?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So that was for that I was using, there's certain times when I use maple syrup and there's certain times when I use we have a local honey
Uh huh.
woman and she does like, saw palmetto, like natural
Yep.
things that are in the area. And so they're called the McCoys and they've been around this area for years. But so sometimes I use local raw honey and sometimes I use maple syrup. I tried the honey with the lemonade and it was not as good. It covered up the whole basil flavor.
Oh,
So
interesting.
for for the turmeric glow one, I did a turmeric. I did our I did our Hawaiian red variety because we grow a few varieties of turmeric. I did Hawaiian red, um, extra ginger, like
It
a
was
lot of
That's
ginger.
yes, girl. It was like dragon breath
Yeah.
ginger. It was
yes.
good.
Yeah.
It
I
was
did a
so
That
lot
good.
of
back in
fresh
your grill.
ginger.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yes.
and then lemon, and then I increased the lemon more the ratio. It was not the exact ratio that I would have used for the elixir. The elixir is predominantly turmeric,
Hmm.
and this was probably equal parts lemon to ginger, and then equal parts all three of them, about give or take. And then I did the local honey,
Mm.
and it was delicious.
It was banging. I'm
And of course,
telling
black
you,
pepper.
yeah, that ginger and
Perfect.
turmeric, like, just literally punches you in the throat, but, like, in the best way, and it
Yeah,
was so awesome. So that was, like, our mocktails before the dinner.
yeah.
Oh, I
We
love
had
that.
the basil tea and then the golden Rita glow, and then I even mixed half and half of both of them in
Hmm.
one, like, I was
Oh,
trying
nice.
everything.
And when you put honey with ginger and turmeric, it kinda softens it because a lot
Mm,
of people are not really used to I can just
intense.
drink ginger juice and I love it, but it kinda softens that sensation and kinda balances it out a little bit more to make it a more pleasurable drink instead of just taking a shot.
Mm.
Oh, we love taking our shots.
Yeah,
I miss
I know.
Yeah, we take a whole different type of shot around here.
yes, yes.
Right.
Well, their turmeric, little concoctions here too, I love it because it really is full of turmeric. The ones that you would get at the grocery store are primarily filled with like apple juice or pineapple juice with a sprinkle of turmeric. And
Or
so,
water, and they put cayenne pepper in there to make it
yes.
spicy so people think, like,
Yeah.
it's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried one and you can tell by the texture. If it's too lightweight in your mouth, that's not
Yeah.
turmeric or ginger. That comes out relatively thick, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mhm.
And so if it feels like water in your mouth, it probably is.
Yeah.
Well,
Water
when
with flavoring.
she's talking about with her turmeric too, where you'll get that buzzy,
Oh,
you
yeah,
really do.
you do.
Mm.
You get a buzz, a head buzz.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's like, why else are we doing it? Like, you feel like your brain. When you take proper turmeric, you feel your brain. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
want, you know? So I want that brain health.
Well, Sandra uses beetroot a lot. I don't know if you've ever used anything, but she's inspired me, and I started making like beetroot lattes, and she'll mix it with
Mhm.
like beetroot and pomegranate
Yeah,
juice and all of these things, and it's
absolutely.
fantastic.
It is. Sometimes I just drink it throughout the day. I just put a
Yeah.
little beetroot powder in some water, shake it up, like if I need a little bit more oxygen, you know?
Hmm.
Yes.
And
Clarity.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Oh,
great.
Well, that
Really
is
good before a
awesome. I
workout,
hope that
pre-workout, beetroot.
say that again.
Beetroot beetroot per pre-workout.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, because it helps with your oxygen levels and everything like that, and
True.
it helps your workout.
Oh, I'm gonna tell Ashton he's very intentional and he loves working out, so
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Well, if there is any drink that helps you reset shifties, please comment below so that we can learn about it. We're always interested in gaining more sips to our arsenal. And we just absolutely love having fun things to drink because
Always.
health intention and flavor and fun is all the name of the game.
Mm.
But you don't just create drinks, you created a whole environment for people to shift. And Sandra never got to hear the full story. So I'm sure she has a lot of questions here about the shift
Yes.
space that Tana and Joseph have created.
Yeah, of course. Jennifer has just been sharing and singing your praises and all that she's experienced in your retreat, and I wanted to learn more about it. So, how did the farm become a place of healing for you? Like, where did that start for you?
So we originally wanted when we, had decided we wanted to have a farm, we wanted it to be a medicinal farm.
Okay.
So we're very passionate about medicinals. Um, we also had planned on doing retreats back in 2010,
Mm.
even prior to the farm. And we were looking about what we should do, how is this going to look? And I think it just wasn't the right timing.
Mm.
And so we ended up getting into the farm world, and we must have romanticized the idea of farming prior because it wasn't quite what we had anticipated. It was so much and is so much work. I went from working
Mm.
3 days a week, doing very well financially, to working 7 days a week, 100 hours a week. It was a huge shift for me,
Sure.
mentally and physically.
Mm.
But I'm always like, oh, I can just put my head down and power through, just like if I'm hiking up a mountain, if I'm, doing any extreme sport, I can just power through it. But it was going on for years and it was very, very, very challenging to say the least. And we were always creating something new. And so it was always there. We always wanted this retreat space, but we just got so wrapped up into just the grind of things, And so with Joseph, he used to be in finance. He How many years ago was it now? I think it was 8 years ago, maybe. The first, when crypto started becoming big,
Mhm.
cryptocurrency, he got really into it, started investing small amounts. Radishes don't pay much. you know, you don't make, if you're going into farming, don't do it for money. So he just started investing, and then the next crypto cycle hit, and he still had stuff in there that he had invested. It did well. And we were like, this is it. We're going to build the glamping area, the retreat space. And that's what we did. We invested it in that. Put all the money into that, built that whole area out. So we always wanted to do it. We just didn't have the resources. So
Mm.
when we had the resources, we did it. And we're just so happy about it. We just love it. We just had a retreat, not our retreat, but there was a retreat last weekend and it was just beautiful. It was a wonderful group of women. And it was just a really lovely, lovely, lovely weekend.
It's just so inspiring to hear like how you were just able to shift your whole life, right? Like just from where you came in your career for you and your husband, and then you had this, calling or vision or
Yeah.
and we're able to make that happen. And it's just hearing that it's just super inspiring. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. Everyone said we were crazy. I mean, everyone was like, you
Yes.
guys are nuts. Don't do it. Don't sell your house. Don't give away all your belongings. Don't do it. But I thought, and I told Joseph, and he's like, everyone's against this. And I go, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
The
Right.
worst possible scenario is going to be it doesn't work. Okay. So it doesn't work. Then you start over.
You're like, "We have a bunch of skills that
Yeah.
we thrived on before, and if we
Right.
needed to tap back into them, we could, but we don't know if we don't try," right?
You
100%.
don't know, and I don't ever wanna live my life thinking, Maybe I should have done that. Why didn't I
Mm,
do that?" And, people would say our families were like, "No one has breaks between the 2 of you. Like, you guys don't have the break system. You both egg each other on, and we're like, 'Yeah, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this,' and then, we just go for it."
love it.
Because if you live a life in fear, look at everything you could be missing.
Absolutely.
You could miss so many things, and I'm not saying that everyone should quit their jobs and sell their house and buy a trailer to live in on a piece of property by any means. I am not promoting that whatsoever. Just full disclosure, think about things before you do it. Because yeah, I
Yeah.
think that I think that it worked out because it was meant to work out and it was
Yes.
the plan all along. Sometimes your plan is to raise a beautiful family.
Yes.
Sometimes it's to create a space, and I don't think I could have done both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if we would have had children, if he didn't have cancer and he would have still been, no complications from that, I don't think we would have gone down this path. I think he
Mhm.
would have still been in finance. He still would have been working to try to provide for his family and we wouldn't have been able to take these risks because that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a huge risk. We risked our life savings,
Mhm.
we were able to put in that kind of time. And I don't think that that's necessarily possible for everyone. But then again, that happened. I was able to, my sister works with us. And if we weren't able to do that, it would have been very challenging to care for our mom the way that we were able to care for her. Like everything tied together. So it's
Because you
all
aligned and listened to that
totally.
calling, and it's probably interesting, though, too, when you look at the life that you have now and the depth of meaning and relationship between you and your husband and your property and all of the, people you've supported along the journey. When you look at that and then you look at the alternative life of what it would have looked like to have, this traditional life or
Mhm.
job or whatever that might be absolutely a great alignment for someone else.
Yeah.
But when you look at that, you're like, wow, we really did need that shift. It did deepen everything for us to make it, you know, everything
Yeah.
that we wanted it to be, but we didn't even know we needed.
We didn't know. And and the other life would have been great because I'm anything but traditional. My
Yep.
husband already, he was already like, "Okay, you're gonna be a whack job when it comes to raising a family." I'm like, "I'm gonna birth my own children in my home. I know how to do it. Believe me, I'm gonna pull it right out. It's gonna be fine." He's like, "You are a nutcase," So, and instead, that personality also creates, yeah, let's sell everything.
Mhm.
Let's start a new adventure, you
Mhm.
know? So it could have been crazy both ways. both both ways would have been crazy.
Now, on your farm, so through the website, everybody can take a look at Gratitude Garden Farms. But yes, that they are retreat host, but
Yeah.
they only personally host their curated retreats a few times a year. So when they are
Yeah.
available, they always fill up because
Yeah.
it is literally all facilitated with their life and their practices. But other people, right? Like they could be yoga instructors, or maybe it's like a medical medium style retreat. Other people can pay to host their own retreat at their
Yeah.
facility.
Yeah.
So tell us about your personal retreat that you do, because you don't really have control really of other people's retreats, right? You're just providing food maybe?
We provide pretty much it's a turnkey. They come here, everything's sorted out for them. They give us their itinerary. We work around that and
Mm.
kind of help them along the way. Usually, it always comes with one agricultural class. That could be mushroom intro to mushroom growing. It could be hands-on gardening. It could be a sprout growing class. It could be botanical medicine class. It really just depends. And if they want live music, we say, okay, we have some people, unless you have someone, and we kind of just say, here's their number, and they work with them
Okay.
independently or whatever. I mean, we have like, a huge list of facilitators that we've personally worked with or that somebody else had worked with that we're like, oh wow, that's really cool. They're
Okay.
super special. Um, so ours, our personal ones, we do all those classes that I mentioned, the plus breath work in the morning. We bring in yoga teachers, sound healers. It's ours is kind of like a catch-all. We have a lot of different things. We are talk about possibly doing like a different kind of retreat. We're still playing with the
Mm.
ideas of possibly doing a purely mushroom growing or not
Mm.
mushroom kind of retreat where people learn how to cook mushrooms because
Mhm.
that is such like a thing. People don't know how to cook mushrooms. So having a bunch of different chefs coming in doing cooking classes, showing them a different dish and little tips and tricks on how to prepare mushrooms. So we're kind of playing with that idea. It would definitely be less spiritual, not that ours are super spiritual, it's a little bit of ag, a little bit of there's openings for some of that, but it's not, spirituality focused. So yeah, we'll see. And then for other facilitators, we do end up having people that do family reunions here, and then
Mm.
we create girls' weekends. Um, where we help them create their own, like, girls' weekend. We've done it, and it's so much fun.
Wow.
Because then I like to work I typically work with the host one-on-one, like, "What kinda thing are you looking for? What do you wanna create?" I'm like, "I have this person that could do something like that," to make it more complete. And, so we did one where we brought in sound healers, we brought in yoga teachers, they wanted to do a breath work, and it was just a really fun weekend. We had like, live music, and then there was this other Bollywood group of girls. They did a birthday
Mm.
weekend. It was just really fun, you know? So, and family reunions where we bring in chefs and do stuff like that.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, it's really nice. So, but when you do it like a girls' weekend like that, the person isn't trying to make money off of it, so it actually ends up being a very inexpensive girls' weekend.
Mhm.
True.
Because your place, food, everything is included, so it ends up being pretty feasible for people.
Amazing. Gosh, it's like I'm ready to book a ticket out to Florida and, like, check it out. There's just so much that you said there that resonated, and I just, I can't even imagine the just after a weekend or doing a retreat, like, the changes that can take place, and
Mhm.
thinking about, some of the past folks that you posted, are there any, like, memorable moments or any things that you could see where, you see some of the change that have taken place with some of the folks that have been to your retreats or your space?
Yeah, are we talking about other people's retreats?
Yours.
Oh,
Yours.
mine personally.
Yours.
Okay, because I get that with other people's retreats too.
Huh.
They're all very profound, and with our retreats, it's just nice to I always say, especially with like the food and stuff, to create possibilities.
Mm,
Like this is what's possible out of just fruits, vegetables, and mushrooms.
Mhm.
you know, there are a lot of possibilities. And just kind of like our focus is just like a nervous system reset,
mm,
to get back in touch with nature.
mm,
Most people are living in the cities and stuff like that, or in town, we call it the in-towners. And you come out here and people sleep like deeper than they've slept in years.
yep.
I don't know if it has to do with the lack of electromagnetic radiation inside the domes, or if it's just getting back in touch with nature, or if it is pretty quiet and peaceful out here. That could be it. But yeah, we just want people to, in our retreats, just to have an enjoyable weekend and connect with like minded people. We get such great people that always come to the retreats because I think it speaks to a specific type of person,
Yeah.
someone that's ready,
Yes.
Mhm.
ready to get in touch with nature, you know, in a very, and maybe do a little bit like some people, it's their first time they've ever practiced yoga. I bring in really great teachers.
Like
You
no
know,
other.
they're just, I have a lot of friends in the industry and whatever I want and whatever I love, that's what I bring,
Mm.
because I feel like other people are searching for the same thing I'm searching for, and there's a lot of really special yoga teachers and sound healers and everything out there. So,
Amazing.
yeah. But I get a lot from other people, like to see other people and the life changes that happen on their retreats too. It's profound. It's really special. And I'm grateful that we open that up to other facilitators and other groups of people. And it's just when Joseph speaks to people and, it's his story is inspiring and he is a very inspiring person and he's such a wonderful man and just he connects.
Mm.
I mean, we both connect, but we connect in different ways.
Yeah.
you know, he brings that masculine energy and I bring that feminine energy,
Yes.
most of the time. Most of the time.
Um,
Sometimes I bring that masculine energy.
we all have it in us, but that sounds just like I tell you, I feel like just hearing it from you and getting that perspective, I'm saying to myself, I'd just be floating. I feel like I'd just float out of your retreat into my world and my life in
Yeah.
with a different perspective. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing all of that
Oh,
and your
yeah.
story and your husband's story. I think there's just so many aspects of this chat that for me, I'm thinking to myself, what are those changes that I need to make, right? And
Mhm.
some of the things that you've done in your life. So thank you for sharing that. And Jennifer had the opportunity to actually attend a retreat and she's shared some with me, but I'm sure she has more to share. So
Well, I do have to say that, yes, everybody knows that I'm more of a nature nerd and that type of stuff is my jam, but I have to explain this to people that might be from the city type environment. I don't know who I'm talking to. But um when people hear that there's a retreat on a farm and in nature, sometimes it might make them a little nervous, right? Because they'll be like, "Oh, bugs," or
Mhm.
"I don't wanna hike through the woods." It is a very curated 5-acre property where absolutely every section is thoroughly thought out and so well maintained. So it's not like you're walking through,
Weeds?
unmaintained woods and you're gonna get ticks
True.
and, you
Oh my
know,
gosh.
smell like a hippie because, you're sweating and not wearing deodorant or something. It's not that type of
It's not
environment.
that kind of place. It
Yeah.
can be unless somebody wants to stop
I mean,
showering. It's
unless
up
you
to
want
them.
to. But, they have it so beautifully designed, even like where the sections are with the domes, just everything's edible. The way they also designed it and planted it. And then they have water that's running through there that helps as like a sound barrier too. And it's a working farm all at the same time. And so they have these cargo containers that are functional, they're decorative, but then they're also sound barriers. So
Mhm.
it's just so interesting because I see so much imagination and thoughtfulness in every single detail of the design. It's not just slapped together. And it is such an immersive experience to where, like, there's a very planned weekend, but you're not so busy that you need a break afterwards because the things that you are doing, you're fulfilled by. And there's little breaks in between that you can do whatever you want. And like I said before, things are optional, but don't opt out. But
Mhm.
I have to say, the biggest thing is, Adam is very much a meat eater. He wants meat and potatoes and heavy fats and all of these things. And he was a little concerned, right, that he might be
Mhm.
hungry. And so I just, they have little refrigerators in the domes. It's like a little mini kitchenette. And I packed him just some easy, simple, high protein, high fat things. Never once did he ask for them the entire weekend because you feel like you're eating all the time in a sense because it's amazing to just have a chef that's cooking something for you all the time. But it's not this like dainty, oh, I had a piece of lettuce for lunch. No, you are having these really um flavorful, colorful, huge meals, right? Of greens and mushrooms and everything that's grown right there on the farm, which means you're getting the max amount of nutrients from your food than you are in any other circumstance. But it's not dainty. You're not going to be hungry. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
And the experience and the knowledge that you take away is incredible. And in general was just a fantastic experience because the sound bath practitioners and the yoga practitioners, it's not like any typical sound bath or yoga practice that you're going to get at some local studio. It's literally like, I mean, it just takes it to a whole nother level.
Mm.
Even the sound bath person, not only was he just so authentic, but he like would sing part of his own music.
Mhm.
He would do
Voice of an
more than just the
angel.
sound bowls. He had all sorts of
Yeah.
instruments. You could feel it in your whole body. It was amazing.
Mm.
Mhm.
So, for anyone listening right now who wants to change their life, even just starting tomorrow, Tana, is there any one thing that you would tell them to do?
Yes, actually, since we're on the topic of gratitude, something that I do every morning and every night is I go through my gratitude list in
Mm,
bed. Last thing I do, because the last 5 minutes of your day is the most important. Like what you
Mm.
think about during that time that you're sleeping is the most important part. So I always take it ends up being closer to 10 minutes. And I just go through I am so grateful for, and I always say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I go through the whole list, every person, everything in my life, what I have at the moment, what I don't have at the moment. And just, I mean, gratitude makes what you have enough.
Mm.
And it's, it makes you happy to feel gratitude. And throughout the day, if you're having a hard moment, just start going through your gratitude list and be like, yeah, this is pretty good. Even just like breath, like I have the breath in my lungs, I have food on my plate. We're so privileged as far as a population
Yeah.
and people that love you, you know, and I just feel grateful. And, we named the farm Gratitude Garden Farm because we were given a second chance at life
Mhm.
together. And I will forever, forever be grateful for that.
Mm.
So that is one thing that I practice daily, no matter what.
I
And
love
I'm
that.
like, Joseph, please don't talk to me right now. I'm going through my gratitude list. And he's always the first thing on my list
Mm,
is I am so grateful for Joseph being happy, healthy, and safe.
Mm.
it's amazing. And it's more simple than you think to incorporate that into your life, to have huge changes with something that doesn't cost you a thing. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't
Yeah.
need to learn anything on how to do it. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to take a
Yeah.
course. You can literally just sit there, lay there in the comfort of your own home and revel in gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah, it changes your vibration instantly. You may not feel grateful for that, person at the moment, but you will after.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Thank you, Tana, so much
Welcome.
for sharing so much of yourself and your life and your
Welcome.
experience and time and knowledge with us. It is such a blessing just to have the experience of the Firefly superhero.
Love it.
Thank you both so much.
It was so
If
wonderful meeting you, and I
So
really
wonderful meeting
I
you.
am holding in my heart the vision of meeting you in person and being
Yes,
property and just experiencing all that you have just shared. So thank you for sharing
absolutely.
your
Thank you
story.
so much.
Well, Shifties, if this episode shifted anything for you, send it to one person who needs it. So go sip something yummy. Hopefully it's a basil lemonade. Take a healing breath and know that you always have us to talk shift with.
And that's it for today's shift. Thank you so much for sharing this space with us. If you're loving the conversation, become a shifty. Like, follow, subscribe, and most of all, share this episode with someone who's shifting too, or someone who seriously needs to get their shift together.
Do you have thoughts, questions, topic requests, or maybe you're feeling the nudge to collaborate? Visit us at shiftsisterpodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're so grateful for your presence, your friendship, and your willingness to do the work with us. Because shift happens and we're not meant to do it alone.
We'll meet you back here next time to breathe, reflect, and talk shift.